For your parents' generation, turning 66 meant something specific. It was the magic number, the age the government called full retirement, the year the real benefits switched on. People circled it on the calendar. Here's what almost nobody will tell you. That quietly changed. If you're turning 66 this year, 66 is no longer your finish line. And that's just the first of 7 things that shift, mostly in silence, the year you hit this age. Some of them can quietly cost you thousands of dollars. One of them can quietly save you thousands. And the most important one of all isn't about money at all. So today we're going through the 7 things that actually change the year you turn 66, in plain English, and separating the ones that genuinely matter from the noise. Because 66 is a strange, quiet year. It falls right between the loud milestones. And that quiet is exactly why so many people drift through it and miss what's happening right under their nose. Stay to the end for the 7th one, because it's the one that isn't found in any official rulebook. And it's the one that matters most. To keep this from turning into a pile of rules, we'll follow one couple through all 7, Diane and Tom. They're not real, but they stand in for millions of people. Both just turned 66, both staring at a retirement that looks nothing like the tidy one their parents had. Let's follow their year, one change at a time. Change number 1, your full retirement age quietly moved to 67. Let's start with the big one, the one that trips up almost everybody, because it overturns something you've believed your whole life. For decades, full retirement age was 66. Full retirement age simply means the age at which Social Security pays you your full, unreduced benefit. Claim before it, and your check is permanently smaller. Wait and tell it, and you get the whole thing. And here's the quiet change. For nearly everyone turning 66 today, that age is no longer 66. It's 67. If you were born in 1960 or later, your full retirement age is 67 full stop. If you happen to be born in 1959, it's 66 and 10 months. Either way, and this is the point, it is not the clean 66 your parents had. The goalposts moved, and they moved without much of an announcement. Tom sits down at 66 thinking, this is it. This is full retirement age. Time to claim my full benefit. If he files now, he is not getting his full benefit. He's locking in a permanent cut of roughly 6 to 7% for the rest of his life, compared to waiting one more year to 67. Here's what that means in dollars. Say Tom's full benefit at 67 would be $2,400 a month. Claim at 66 instead, and that drops to roughly $2,240, about $160 less every month for as long as he lives. That's nearly $2,000 a year he quietly gives up, forever, and it never resets. Over a 20-year retirement, with cost of living raises layered on top, Tom just handed back well over $40,000, all because he was working from his parents' rulebook instead of his own. That one misunderstanding is one of the most expensive mistakes at this age, and it's invisible because nothing flashes red when you make it. What matters? Know your actual full retirement age, almost certainly 67, and don't claim at 66 thinking you've reached the finish line. You haven't. Change number 2, the work penalty is still watching you at 66. The second change matters enormously if you're one of the growing number of people still working in your 60s. And it's widely misunderstood. If you've already started taking Social Security and you're still earning a paycheck, Social Security keeps an eye on how much you make through something called the earnings test. Here's how it works the year you're 66, which is to say, still under that full retirement age of 67. In 2026, you can earn up to $24,480 from work, with no effect on your benefits. But for every $2 you earn above that, Social Security temporarily holds back $1 of your check. Here's the concrete version. Suppose Tom claimed his Social Security early but takes a part-time job at 66 that pays him $40,000 a year. That's about $15,500 over the limit. Social Security would temporarily hold back half of that overage, roughly $7,760 of his benefits for the year. That can come as a real shock if he wasn't expecting it, because of how they do it. They don't shave a little off each check. They stop the checks entirely until the amount is covered. So planning for it matters. Now here's the good news that's coming, and why 66 is a pivotal year. The moment you reach 67, this whole penalty vanishes. Gone. In the year you actually turn 67, the limit jumps way up to over $65,000 and only counts what you earned before your birthday. And starting the month you hit full retirement age, there's no limit at all. You could earn a fortune and not lose a penny of your Social Security. So 67 on the horizon, the squeeze is almost over. Two things almost nobody knows about this, and they matter. First, only money from actual work counts. Wages and self-employment. Your pension, your 401k withdrawals, your dividends, your rental income. None of that counts toward the earnings test. So a retiree living off investments isn't affected at all. Second, and this is the big one, the money they hold back is not gone. When you reach full retirement age, they recalculate and effectively give it back to you through a higher check. It's really just a delay. What matters? If you claimed early and you're still working at 66, understand the earnings limit, but know it's the home stretch. Only your wages count, and the withheld money comes back. Change number 3. From now on, Patience pays a quiet, guaranteed raise. The third change is one of the few genuinely great deals left in all of finance, and 66 is when it's most valuable. Once you pass your full retirement age, every single month you wait to claim Social Security, your future check grows by 0.2% a month, which adds up to a guaranteed 8% a year, every year, until you turn 70. That is the rare kind of deal you almost never see. An 8% raise, guaranteed by the federal government, just for waiting. No risk, no market, no catch. And then at 70, it stops cold. There's zero reason to wait past 70. Here's the number again. Take Tom's $2,400 full benefit at 67. If he can hold off all the way to 70, those credits push it up to about $2,976 a month. Nearly $600 more every month for the rest of his life. And if he's the higher earner, for Diane's life after him. That's the reward for patience. And it's locked in regardless of what the stock market does. So at 66, Tom and Diane are sitting in the most valuable stretch of this whole decision. The year between 66 and 67 erases the early claiming penalty, and the years from 67 to 70 pile on that 8% bonus. Each month of patience, right now, is quietly worth real money for the rest of their lives, and for the surviving spouse's life too. Now, in fairness, waiting isn't automatically right for everyone. If your health is poor or you simply need the income to live, claiming earlier can be the wise and right choice. This is a personal decision, not a universal rule. But understand what you're trading. At 66, with that 8% raise sitting on the table, the cost of claiming just because you can has never been higher. What matters? From 66 to 70, every month of waiting buys a permanent raise. Decide deliberately, because this is the window where the decision carries the most weight. Change number 4. What you earn at 66 quietly sets your Medicare bill at 68. The fourth change is sneaky, because it reaches into the future. What you do this year shows up on a bill 2 years from now. Here's the mechanism. Medicare charges higher income retirees a surcharge on their premiums. It has an ugly name, IRMAA. But just think of it as a Medicare surcharge for higher incomes. And the critical detail is this. It looks back 2 years to decide, so the premiums you'll pay at 68 are based on the income on your tax return at 66. In 2026, that surcharge kicks in once income passes about $109,000 for a single person or $218,000 for a couple. And it's a cliff, meaning $1 over the line triggers the whole thing. So 66 is quietly a year where your income casts a long shadow. If this is a big income year for Tom and Diane, maybe Tom's still working, maybe they sold a property, took a large withdrawal, or did some other big financial move. They might sail right over that line and get a surprise surcharge in the mail at 68, long after they've forgotten about it. On the flip side, if 66 is a low-income year, they can use it deliberately to keep those future premiums down. And one thing worth knowing, if a surcharge ever hits you because of a year that no longer reflects your life, say you've since retired and your income dropped, you can appeal it with a form called the SSA 44. A lot of people just grumble and pay. You don't have to. What matters? Watch your income at 66, because it sets your Medicare premiums at 68. Plan the big moves with that 2-year shadow in mind. Change number 5, you're sitting in the best tax planning window of your life. The 5th change is really an opportunity hiding in plain sight, and most people waste it without ever knowing it was there. At 66, you're in a rare and valuable financial spot. You're past 59 and a half, so you can pull money from your retirement accounts without the early withdrawal penalty. But, and here's the part people get wrong, you are not yet required to. Those forced withdrawals from your traditional retirement accounts, the ones the government eventually makes you take, don't begin until 73 or 75, depending on your exact birth year. For someone turning 66 today, that's potentially a decade away. Think about what that means. You're retired, or nearly so, which means your income is probably the lowest it's been in years, and the tax man isn't forcing anything out of your accounts yet. That gap, those quiet years between retiring and those forced withdrawals, is the single best tax planning window of your entire life. It's the time to do things like move money, a little at a time, from your Tax Me Later accounts into Tax Me Never Roth accounts while your tax rate is low, so that when those forced withdrawals finally arrive, the bomb is much smaller. Diane and Tom have years of this runway in front of them right now. Most people don't realize the window is open until it's slamming shut. What matters, at 66, you're in the tax planning sweet spot. Low income, no forced withdrawals. Yet, it's the window to act, and it won't stay open forever. And since we're talking about retirement accounts, this is also why some retirees look beyond just stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and real estate. One option people often don't realize exists is a gold IRA. Basically, it lets you hold physical gold coins and bars inside a retirement account, with many of the same tax advantages people associate with a traditional IRA. Now, that doesn't mean gold is magic. It doesn't mean you should panic, and it definitely doesn't mean moving everything out of the market. It just comes back to the same old wisdom: don't put everything in one basket. For many Americans over 50, most of their retirement savings are tied to the stock market, and we all know how unpredictable that can be. So while you're in this retirement planning window, it's a good idea to at least understand how physical gold could fit into your broader retirement plan. If you want to learn more about how a gold IRA works and how to set one up, there's a free gold IRA information guide from Augusta Precious Metals that breaks it all down. You can grab it using the link in the description below. It's 100% free, so make sure you check it out. Change number 6, new tax breaks quietly switch on. And 1 is on a countdown. The 6th change is a pleasant one, for a change, but it comes with a clock. Once you hit 65, the tax code starts treating you more gently. You get an extra standard deduction just for being 65 or older, the standard deduction being the chunk of income that's automatically tax-free. So your taxes can drop a bit simply because of your age, with you doing nothing at all. And right now there's a bonus on top. Through a recent law for the tax years 2025 through 2028, Americans 65 and older get an additional deduction, up to $6,000 per person, or $12,000 for a couple where both qualify, though it phases out at higher incomes. At 66, Diane and Tom are squarely eligible, but notice that date. It expires after 2028. This is a temporary, limited-time break, which means the next few years are a window where the cost of things like those Roth conversions we just talked about may be a little lower than usual. The two changes work together. Just know this bonus deduction doesn't change how your Social Security is taxed, or how that Medicare surcharge is figured. It's a nice tailwind, not a cure-all. What matters, your taxes can fall just from turning 65, and there's a temporary bonus deduction on the books through 2028. Use the window while it's open. Change number 7, time not money, quietly becomes the scarce resource. And now the 7th change, the one I promised isn't found in any official rulebook, and the one that in the end matters more than all the others combined. Somewhere around 66, if you let yourself notice it, the math of your life quietly flips. For your whole working life, money was the scarce thing and time felt endless. There was always next year, always later. At 66, that silently reverses. Now time is the scarce resource, and the question stops being how do I get more money, and becomes what is this money actually for? There's a phrase worth knowing here: health span as opposed to lifespan. Lifespan is how long you live. Health span is how long you stay active and able to do the things you love. And for most people, those active years, sometimes called the go-go years, run roughly from your 60s into your mid-70s, and then gently taper, which means the years right in front of Diane and Tom, starting now, are quietly the most valuable they have left. Not the most valuable financially, the most valuable, period. This is the change nobody puts on a retirement checklist, and it's the one that should reorder everything else. It's why getting the money pieces right matters. Not so you can die with the biggest possible number, but so the money fades into the background and stops being the thing you think about. So you can take the trip while your knees still work. See the people while they're still here. Say yes to the things you've been deferring to someday, because at 66 you start to feel, in your bones, that someday has a limit. Think about Diane and Tom for a moment. They could spend this whole year doing what a lot of careful people do, fretting over the perfect claiming date, squeezing another 0.5% out of a portfolio, running the numbers one more time. And the numbers do matter. That's why we spent 6 changes on them. But if they get to 76 with a perfect plan on paper, and a list of trips they never took and grandkids they meant to visit, once things settled down, they will have optimized the wrong thing entirely. The years that just opened up in front of them are the ones they'll wish they had back. Nobody ever wished they'd spent more of their healthiest decade worrying about basis points. The other 6 changes are about managing your money. This one is about remembering why you saved it. What matters? At 66, time quietly becomes more precious than money. Spend the good years as deliberately as you ever spent a dollar. So let's line them up. 1. Your full retirement age moved to 67. Don't claim at 66 thinking it's full. 2. The work penalty still applies at 66 but vanishes at 67, and the withheld money comes back. 3. From 66 to 70, every month of waiting buys a guaranteed raise. 4. The income you earn at 66 sets your Medicare premiums at 68. 5. You're in the best tax planning window of your life, before forced withdrawals begin. 6. New tax breaks switch on at 65, including a bonus that expires after 2028. And 7. Time quietly becomes the scarce resource. Spend it well. Step back for a moment because there's a reason 66 feels so quietly confusing. And it isn't you. A generation ago, the milestones of retirement all lined up in one neat moment. You hit 65, and more or less everything happened at once. Medicare started, the pension kicked in, full Social Security arrived, and you got the gold watch. One age, one door, one clean transition. That world is gone. Today, those milestones are scattered across an entire decade: 62, 65, 66, 67, 77, 3, 75, each with its own rules, its own deadlines, its own fine print, and nobody hands you a map. The full retirement age moved. The forced withdrawal age moved. New temporary deductions appeared. The whole thing is a moving target. And 66 feels especially quiet precisely because it falls in the gap between the loud milestones, after Medicare at 65, before full retirement at 67. But that quiet is deceptive. It's actually the staging year, the year to get your bearings and set up the big decisions that land at 67 and 70. The people who navigate this decade well aren't smarter than everyone else. They just refused to drift through the quiet years and paid attention when nothing was flashing. So those are the 7 things that quietly changed the year you turned 66. 6 about your money and 1 about your life. Get the 6 right and they do something wonderful. They go quiet. They stop nagging at you. They free you up to pay attention to the 7th, which was always the real point. Because here's the truth underneath all of it. The most important thing that changes at 66 isn't a rule or a rate or a deadline. It's that you finally have to decide what all of this was for. You spent decades building the means. 66 is the year to start deliberately and without apology, spending them on the life while the years are still good and still yours. Get your bearings now, in the quiet, and you'll walk into everything that comes next with your eyes wide open. And that's the whole game.